You know how everyone loves those Silicon Valley success stories? A couple of college dropouts start a company in a garage, raise billions of dollars from investors, and suddenly they're all on magazine covers with crazy company valuations. That's what we call a unicorn. A startup worth over $1 billion. Between 2015 and 2025, India saw some massive startup failures. Companies you've probably heard of, Byju's, Paytm, Ola. These companies raised billions of rupees from investors. Then, they burned through the money. And then, they crashed. Thousands of people lost their jobs. I watched all this happening and started wondering, is this how businesses work? Do we have to follow this path to build something big? Between 2019 and 2025, while everyone were obsessing over which startup raised how much money, something completely different was happening in Tamil Nadu. Students from farming families were writing software for companies in New York and Tokyo. A billionaire chose to live in village instead of California. Over the last few months, suddenly, a new messaging app appears on Indian phones. It's called Arattai, which means to chat in Tamil. It promises privacy-first messaging. Your messages are actually private. No advertisements because you're not a product. It's built by a company that's been profitable for over a decade. And almost nobody in India has ever heard of them. That's the paradox. How can a company this big be so invisible? I'm talking about Zoho Corporation. Let me introduce you to Sridhar Vembu. Sridhar was brilliant at studies. He got into IIT Madras, one of the toughest engineering colleges in India. Then, he went to Princeton University in America for his PhD in electrical engineering. Think about that for a moment. A kid from a small village ends up with PhD from one of the best universities in the world. By all traditional measures, he had made it. The logical next step? Stay in America, get a high-paying job at a tech company, live the Silicon Valley dream. But Sridhar did something that made zero sense to everyone around him. In 1996, Sridhar and his brother Kumar came back to Chennai with what seemed like a crazy idea. Build software products in India and sell them to the world. Let me explain why this seemed insane at the time. In the 1990s, when people talked about India's software industry, they meant only one thing: outsourcing. American companies would pay Indian companies to write code. That doesn't mean Indian companies own the product. They were just coding contractors. The idea, the ownership, the profit all stayed in America. The thought that Indians could build products and compete with the American market, that seemed impossible to most people. Why would anyone in the world buy products made in India when they could buy from established companies like Google and Microsoft? But Sridhar didn't care what seemed possible. He started building. They worked from a rented apartment using a dial-up modem. Imagine waiting 5 minutes just for a web page to load. That's what they were working with. They called their company AdventNet and sold network management software, tools that help companies manage their computer networks and servers. While other companies were spending time pitching to venture capitalists and trying to convince them to invest money, the Vembu brothers just wrote code, found customers, shipped products, and got paid. No begging investors for money, no giving away ownership of their company, just build something useful and use that money to build more. They found customers in America, Europe, Australia, and Japan. People actually paid for their software. But everyone kept telling them this wouldn't work for long term. But Sridhar and Kumar ignored them all. They kept control of their company. No venture capital meant no board meetings where investors demand faster growth. No pressure to sacrifice long-term vision for short-term numbers. And nobody telling them how to run their company. They controlled it completely. Then came the year 2000. The dot-com bubble burst. Let me explain what that means. In the late 90s, everyone went crazy about internet companies. Investors threw in money at any startup with a .com in its name. Company valuations went insane and everyone thought they'd get rich. Then, the reality hit. The Nasdaq crashed and hundreds of internet companies that had raised millions of dollars vanished overnight. Companies that had fancy offices, hundreds of employees, and millions in funding shut down because they ran out of money. But what happened to AdventNet? Nothing changed. Their light stayed on, their developers kept writing code, and their customers kept paying. Because here's the thing, you can't lose what you never borrowed. This moment taught Sridhar something crucial. Independence wasn't just idealistic or romantic. It was practical. When you don't owe anyone money, you control your destiny. You can survive any crisis. You can make decisions based on what is right, not what investors demand. This rejection of venture capital would define everything that came after. Most people thought they were being foolish. Turns out, they were incredibly smart. AdventNet changed its name to Zoho Corporation. They started building cloud-based software before anyone was really calling it SaaS, or software as a service, which means an application you use through the internet instead of installing it on your computer. And what did Zoho build? They built email systems, CRM software, spreadsheets like Excel, collaboration tools like Google Docs. They were competing with Google, Microsoft, and Salesforce, the biggest companies in the world. And the obvious question is, how do you even compete with them? These companies have unlimited resources, the best engineers, and massive marketing budgets. And Sridhar's answer for that was not to play their game, change the game entirely. In 2008, when the financial crisis hit, companies around the world panicked. Budgets froze and everyone tried to save money. Enterprise software was expensive. Small businesses using Salesforce were paying at least $10,000 per year. But Zoho offered something different. A complete suite of business tools for $5 per user per month. And it's fair to question, why the massive price difference? Because Zoho, you see, didn't have investor expectations to meet. Venture-backed companies have to maximize revenue per customer, grow as fast as possible, and eventually go public or get bought for billions. That pressure forces them to charge high prices. Zoho didn't have that pressure. They could charge what is fair and what is sustainable. While competitors were chasing Fortune 500 clients, Zoho was building something different. A massive base of small and medium businesses. A dentist in Tokyo, a manufacturer in Germany, a design agency in Australia. These customers don't make headlines, but multiply that $5 across hundreds of thousands of businesses, and you get a sustainable global business. Every rupee earned went back into the company to build new products, better features, and more hires. Meanwhile, India's startup ecosystem exploded. Byju's raised $5 billion, Paytm went public at $20 billion, Ola promised to disrupt transportations forever. But when the dust of fame settled, Byju's collapsed. Paytm stock crashed and Ola downsized. With Zoho, you see, kept growing. 50 plus products, 75 million users, and 4,000 employees. Now, even with all that, Sridhar was about to do something more crazier. Picture this. You're a billionaire. You've built a global company. What do? Most people would say, enjoy life, buy a yacht, build a bigger company. But Sridhar did the opposite. He moved to a village called Matalampara in Tamil Nadu. People thought he was crazy, or maybe it was something temporary. But he never went back. Instead, he started something revolutionary. Zoho Schools of Learning. Here's how it works. After finishing school, students from rural background join the Zoho schools. No college degree required. They get trained in software development for 6 to 12 months for free. Then, they join Zoho as full-time employees. Traditionally, these students would try to get into engineering colleges, maybe move to Bangalore or Chennai, pay the high tuition fees and hostel rent. Zoho's part changed that. A farmer's daughter could now be writing software for companies in New York. A shopkeeper's son could be building analytical tools for Tokyo businesses. Economically, it made perfect sense. In cities, rent and food eat 40% of your salaries. In villages, Costs are low, quality of living is higher. Zoho now employs thousands across rural India. Villages that never had jobs now have tech centers. But here's the truth. No venture capital would approve this strategy. They'd call it too unconventional or too risky. But Sridhar didn't need all these approvals. He owned his company. He could run experiments that others couldn't. When you're not optimizing for investors, you can optimize for what truly matters. Build great products and create meaningful jobs. For years, Zoho used an internal messaging system. Simple, reliable, and private. In 2024, privacy concerns about messaging app exploded. WhatsApp faced backlash over data collection. 1 billion Indian private conversations flowed through the servers in California. Family photos, health issues, financial info, all sitting on Meta's servers in America. Now India started asking the uncomfortable question, why can't we build our own? Sridhar saw the opportunity and Zoho already had the technology. Their internal tool just needed to evolve. The Tenkasi team then built Arattai, a Tamil-first interface designed from ground up, end-to-end encryption, no ads, no tracking, no data collection. There was no celebrity endorsement, no influencer campaigns, no venture-backed marketing, just a great product. A student would have tried it and shared it with friends. Families would have recommended in their WhatsApp groups. Arattai exists because of every decision made over the last 28 years at Zoho. Building a full suite of product meant the infrastructure already existed. Expanding to rural India meant development costs were low. 28 years of patient, profitable growth made Arattai possible without investors. Arattai is not just an app, it's a proof. Proof that you can also build a world-class product outside Silicon Valley. Proof that you can respect privacy and succeed. Proof that you can stay true to your values and still win. The chat doesn't end here. The revolution is just beginning. Because now we know it's possible. Now we have a blueprint. Now every kid in India, whether from IIT or a village school, knows there's another path. That's the real gift Sridhar Vembu gave us. Not just a successful company, but a proof that another way exists. Proof that it works, and proof that we can do it too.